Good job, and thank you. You've made it to video number 2. Here we're going to talk about your health and major alternative solutions. This may be the most important health video you ever watch. And I know there's a lot of videos out there on YouTube and everything, but this may sound crazy, but stick with me and you'll quickly see why this content here is not FDA approved, but it has been proved around the world through both science and health results. And that's what we're after, right? Health results. What is it happening? So if you have not watched video number 1, we highly recommend it. Video number 1 is going to give you the foundation for what this is all about, especially when we get to video number 3. Now let's review video number 1. The structure of water is much more important than its composition. Water utilization is more important than the actual consumption. And water is more foundational to our health than food. So what are we talking about here in video 2? Healthcare is no guarantee of health. No matter who pays, whether it's free or expensive, we need to take personal responsibility for our health, the current state of American health, and the current alternative treatments for health. So the warning and disclaimer. Now, to show their appreciation for all the special interest money they've received, Congress has passed a law requiring all non-drug companies to state that the claims in this presentation have not been evaluated by the FDA and that this video is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. However, that being said, there have been medicine men, healers, dietitians, old wives' tales, simple good nutrition for much longer than the pharmaceutical companies and other special interests have been around. And all of their wisdom has yet to be disproved. So we'll just let you make up your own mind. So my story. I'm 42 years old. I have a wonderful, lovely wife, and fascinated with my 2 kids, a daughter 4 and a son 7. I'm a teacher at my church, and one day, just a few years ago, I was watching a creationist DVD, and it was talking about the age of rocks, and it was a little fascinating. Don't comment into that. But one of the things is he's paused and he says, oh, and as an aside, the cure for cancer is in an apricot seed. And I was like, what in the world did he say? And then he talked about it for a few minutes and then moved on to rocks. And I was like, you can't say you have the cure for cancer and then not like make that your life mission. That was what was going through my head. And so now suddenly I'm like, okay, so now this is sitting in my lap. What am I going to do about this? So it made a total paradigm shift, and for the next 6 months I studied the good, bad, and a whole bunch of ugly about the cancer industry and what cancer is all about. And it changed my life, and I became a crusader against cancer. And I wrote a book on being without cancer. I've got a health blog at toGetWellNow.com, and it has changed my life. So we're going to talk about healthcare or sick care. There are many debates going on what healthcare should and should not look like. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, health insurance, health savings accounts to cover the surgeries, chronic pain, diseases, emergency room visits, health, mental health, alternative therapies, and drugs. Lots of our money goes to drugs. Now here's the God's honest truth. It doesn't matter who pays, you or your employer. It doesn't matter if it's the company plan, the retirement plan, or the government plan. It doesn't matter if you have a pre-existing condition or perfect health. It doesn't matter if the cost is a whole lot of money every single month or if it's absolutely free. Health insurance is no assurance of health. It's all about you, baby. No matter what you do, no matter who you choose to see, no matter how much money you make, no matter where you live, no matter when you get old, it won't matter why. If you don't take personal responsibility for you and your family's health, there is no insurance that can cure you. Now, let's see how we're doing. We're going to take just a look at 3 growth areas as a marker for U.S. health today. We're going to look at obesity, cancer, and chronic pain. So the obesity trends and among the U.S. adults between 1985 and 2009. And obesity is a body mass index of 30 or higher. So if you're 5'4" and you're obese, you have a BMI of greater than 30, or you're 30 pounds overweight. If you're a little bit larger than 5'4", it'll be a little bit more than 30 pounds. But 30 pounds is about the average marker. So here, 1985, they started noticing some trends where there was actually some states where there was actually 1 in 7 people were obese. And so they started tracking this. So here's 1986, 1987, 1988, 1989, 1990, 1991, and suddenly they notice there's some states that are like 1 to 6, or almost 1 in every 5 people are obese. 92, 93, 94, 95, 1996, 97, suddenly more than 1 in 5 people are obese in these states. 98, 99, 2000, 2001, more than 25%, 1 in 4 people have this obesity problem. 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, almost 1 in 3 people are obese in these states. 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009. Now, it's already predicted that at this pace, 50% of Americans will be obese by 2030. Is that crazy? The solution is not, hey everybody, let's move to Colorado. Okay? Let's look at the changes that have happened in the last 20 years. We've become a fast food nation. We've become a processed food nation and a genetically manipulated food nation. And it's killing us. The answer is there is something in the way that we eat and drink that is creating this epidemic. Cancer. Cancer industry is huge. It's also, just that. It's an industry. Okay? The average cancer patient spends $400,000 on cancer treatments during their lifetime. And over 600,000 people die of cancer every year. You do the math. Now, cancer is also the #1 killer of children 14 years and younger. I mean, what in the world is that? I thought cancer was an old person's disease. Children should be dying of accidents or something like that, not a cancer. What's going on? So today, 1 round of 6 chemo injections can cost $400,000. My friend just got the bill in August 2011, $400,000 for 6 rounds of chemo. 100 years ago, approximately 1 in 3,000 people got cancer. Right now, it is estimated that 1 in 2 people will have cancer in their lifetime. Now, why in the world are we not gathering together in the town squares and shouting, how in the world did we get here? This is pandemic and implications. Okay, everyone's going to be, half the population is going to have cancer. What is going on? What does this do? Because if it's 1 in 50%, that means it's either me or it's you. Chronic pain. Okay, more than 1/3 of Americans have chronic pain. More than 100 million Americans suffer from chronic pain at a cost of around $600 billion a year in medical treatments and lost productivity, according to a report from the Institute of Medicine. Now, this is not, this is all the kids and the people that haven't developed pain are not counted in that 100 billion. So that in that 1/3. So that's a lot of us adults. It's probably even higher than that. So an OIM committee commissioned by Congress concluded that pain is not optimally managed in the U.S. and that effective treatment of chronic pain will require a coordinated national effort to transform how the public, the policymakers, and healthcare providers view this condition. They want to call it a disease when it's simply inflammation gone wild. Now, a report included recommendations for achieving what the committee referred to as a cultural transformation in how Americans understand and approach pain management and prevention. Nothing short of a cultural transformation. They're saying everyone needs to get aware of what this pain is going on. How in the world did we get here? How do we define this problem? What is not working anymore? And how in the world are we going to fix this? Now, these are important questions we will answer here, but let me tell you a story. Let's assume you bought an old house that hasn't been lived in for several years. However, you love that old house and you want to return it to its former glory. You dream of living in that house and you imagine all the fun you and your grandkids are going to have. Well, your body is that house. Now, we have to start the process of returning it back to normal. It won't happen overnight, and there are no miracle pills to make it normal. In fact, medications are simply paint. If you paint over a board eaten by termites, you may not see the holes in the boards for a while, but they're still there and the rotting goes on. Medications cover up the symptoms, but the degeneration in your body continues. If you have arthritis and you take medication, the degeneration in joints continues. You just don't feel the pain while the joints continue to rot. So a Band-Aid is just not a cure. And with so much paint on the old house, the structure of our body or our house may look cool, but it's ready to fall apart. Now let's look at our doctors. By the 3rd or 4th year of medical school, most doctors are taught to forget most of the first 2 years of anatomy and physiology, body working as a whole, and they start memorizing symptom complexes. And they memorize them as a disease. Okay, so they look at cancer, they look at the autoimmune diseases, they look at arthritis, all in all. And they look at what they're taught is these are the drugs that are going to cover up the symptoms of those diseases. And when that doesn't work, they're told to remove the offending part. So the pancreas has cancer, let's remove it. The thyroid's not functioning, so let's remove it. Well, these are necessary organs, and it's better to find the root causes than just take them out. So after they get into practice, the young doctor is smart. Well, all of his control of the patient is taken from the doctor by the insurance company. When a doctor makes a diagnosis, he or she must select a code number for whatever diagnosis is made. That code number activates what's called standards of practice. That means that a computer programmed by an insurance company is now in control of your medical care. It tells the doctor what drugs must be prescribed and whether you can have surgery or not. It tells the doctor when you can be hospitalized and how many days you can stay there. And unless the doctor can justify another diagnosis code, you are controlled by the first one that pops up. So enough of that. Let's look on the bright side. Okay, there are 4 major alternative popular modalities that are making huge strides to impact health at this time. They are hydration. The body is 72% water. It's going to have a big effect. Energy, the #1 need of Americans. Antioxidants, destruction of free radicals. And alkalinity, using the pH scale to balance our diet. So the basics. The key to making chronic disease better is making a single cell work. Now if it works in one single cell, it'll work in all of them. And now if you give your body the things that a single cell needs to work, the body often has the power to heal all of the cells of the body. That means you get well. A cell is made up of a cell membrane and the insides called the cytoplasm. The cell membrane is made of fats. It controls the cell and is considered the brain of the cell. Now, it's not the nucleus that is the brain. You can take out the nucleus and all the cell will survive for a day or two. It may not function well, but it'll survive. That means that you must have the proper fats to make those membranes. Okay? About 20% of your body is this fat. And if you weigh 200 pounds, you need 40 pounds of the perfect fat to be healthy. Since cells replace themselves on an average of about 8 weeks, you would need to absorb about 5 pounds of fat per week to stay healthy. Have you ever heard of that? Health by fat? That was not in the last fad diet that I read. Now warning, this is not just any McDonald's fat, okay? So the cell is immortal, okay? It is merely the fluid in which it floats that degenerates. Renew this fluid at intervals, give the cells what they require for nutrition, and as far as we know, the pulsation of life will go on forever. There's Dr. Alex Carrel. He's a transplant specialist and surgeon. Now let's talk about the fluids, okay? Hydration. Now when you are born, you're 90% water, and as an adult, your body is 70% water. When we're elderly, the body is 50% water. So you could make a case that we die of dehydration. So if your body is 70%, 70 to 80% water, that means 8 to 10 gallons depending on your body size. Let's try an experiment. If we drink 10 gallons of good water in a week, wouldn't we have changed or replaced 70 to 80% of our body in a week? What kind of health impact do you think that would cause? Oop. Okay, so sorry, technical difficulties. Now remember our first video. The structure of water is foundational and extremely important. Now this red blue ball is what our natural water clusters are like. Okay, each of those is a water molecule, but they cluster together, and tap water or bottled water, most of our fluids, and when it comes together in clusters of 15 to 20 to up to 100 molecules all together, it's never going to pass through and enter into the cells. In fact, Dr. Victor Rios did a study on this, and he said that only 10 to 15% of the water that we drink is going to be absorbed into our body. So of that 10 to 15%, everything else is just passing right through us. That's why when you drink a whole bunch of water, it's going to slosh around in your belly. So what we want is microclustered water, which is an efficient transporter of nutrients in and cellulose out. Okay, that's the six-sided water molecules. Okay, see how they zip through the water? So think of throwing softballs at a fence. Okay, they're just going to bounce off. What you need is little marbles, and they're going to penetrate that fence and be able to bring in the nutrients, take those cellular waste out, and that's going to help make your body function. So look at this again. Our body is like a fishbowl. All life functions produce biological pollution inside of our bodies. Doesn't matter how well we eat, our body's still going to get toxins, and it still needs to flush the toxic waste. So if we exercise every time we breathe, every time we digest, every time we think about exercising, we're producing acid waste. And our cells are like the fish. So as I had fish as a child, and I loved to feed them, but I hated to change their water. So what I'd do is I'd feed them, but they'd poop and they'd discharge their functions, and well, then what happens, but their water environment doesn't change. Okay, so it gets more and more polluted inside there until suddenly they start asphyxiating and die. Well, the same thing is true of our blood. If we don't drink restructured water to be absorbed and bring the nutrients in and take the acid waste out, then we are asphyxiating and we will die. Look at these blood cells. These are pokey and they're stacking up. They begin to lose their ability to function. No wonder people are going to be in pain with this type of stuff. So Dr. Batman-Gelly wrote a book called Your Body's Many Cries for Water. He says, you're not sick, you're thirsty. Don't treat thirst with medications, because when the body is dehydrated, nothing will substitute. No medication other than water will ever be effective. So body rationing of water. Let's use an imaginary of frostbite to describe water rationing. So as your body will sacrifice their fingers and toes to keep your body's core warm in freezing temperatures, your body's going to sacrifice your body's organs to keep the brain, the kidney, and the liver functioning. Okay, so let's look at some common signs of dehydration. You're feeling tired, you're flushed, irritable, anxious, dejected, depressed, not sleeping well, heavy-headed, irresistible cravings, and a fear of crowds, leaving the house. So from page 58 of his book, You're Not Sick, You're Thirsty. Common signs of chronic dehydration: asthma, allergies, hypertension, constipation, type 2 diabetes, autoimmune diseases. And this breaks down into myriads of affections. But here, look at drastic emergency indicators of dehydration. You're looking at heartburn, dyspeptic pain, anginal pain, lower back pain, migraine headache, colitis pain, bulimia, morning sickness if you're pregnant, fibromyalgic pain, rheumatoid joint pain. All this, remember our talk with 1/3 of Americans have chronic pain? Okay, look at this right here, common signs of dehydration. Research shows that 75% of all Americans are dehydrated, not just right now, but every single day of their life. We've got so much to say about this, but we're doing a quick overview here. So energy. They did a poll recently and asked people what they want most, and most people answered more energy. So energy, why? That is why people drink coffee, their sports drinks, the energy drinks, Mountain Dew, they pop pills, they drink their green tea, and then Kangen water. Energy is important. Without electricity, we wouldn't be reading this slide right now. And it's not because your computer wouldn't work, it's because your brain wouldn't work. Everything we do is controlled and enabled by electrical signals running through our bodies. As we learned in the Intro to Physics, everything is made up of atoms, and atoms are made up of protons, neurons, and electrons. Protons have positive charge, neurons have neutral charge, electrons have negative charge. So when these charges are out of balance, an atom becomes either positively charged or negatively charged. The switch between one type and another allows electrons to flow through one atom to another. The flow of electrons, or negative charge, is what we call electricity. Since our bodies have huge masses of atoms, we can generate electricity. And when we talk about the nervous system sending signals to the brain, or the synapses firing, or the brain telling our hand to contract around a door handle, what we're talking about is electricity carrying messages from point A to point B. It's sort of like digital cable signals, carrying ones and zeros that deliver America's Got Talent. Except in our bodies, electrons aren't flowing along wires. Instead, an electrical charge is jumping from one cell to the next until it reaches its destination. Any interruption in the flow of electricity from point A to point B can cause major problems in your health and well-being. Right now, any cell in your body that aren't actively sending messages are slightly negatively charged. Negativity is a natural resting state in your cells. It's relative to a slight imbalance of potassium and sodium ions inside and outside of the cell. And this imbalance sets the stage for electrical capacity. Now, what does this all mean? That's a lot of stuff, Scott. Well, the energy basics. So if your body died, you would have no energy. Your body's cells would lose their vibrations and they become acidic. No life energy. A loss of energy is a sign for fungus and bacteria to begin the decaying of the body to ash. Ash to ashes, dust to dust. So what we eat and drink, we metabolize to ash. This ash is either acidic or alkaline, depending on the food that we've eaten. Now, alkaline ash is quickly absorbed into the body with little energy wasted. Acidic ash is very harmful to the blood and the lymph system, so the body stores these acids in the organs and tissues. Remember the skyrocket in obesity? Haha. So the more acidic ash we take in, the more acidic the tissues and organs, the more the body registers no energy. Eventually the body will signal, this body is ready to decompose while we're still alive. So here's my son. He's 7. But he took his first steps at 9 months, and within a week he was running full speed and he hasn't stopped yet. Now energy, kids with this kind of kinetic energy have a typical electrical output of negative 44 millivolts. And a typical adult should have around negative 20 millivolts. But sometimes, because of the acidic ash storage, portions of our body tissue are going to be neutral. Other portions are going to be positive. Now, everyone has cancer cells in the body, but not everyone will get cancer. Only the people whose vibrational energy drops from negative 20 to negative 10, 0, once you hit like positive 25 millivolts, bang, Cancer springs up, your body is so close to dead that those cells need to be carried away. Your body is signaling bacteria and fungus to begin the decaying process. Now, the only way to stop this, according to this modality, is by increasing the voltage to negative 80 millivolts, because microbes cannot eat that. Now remember this, because we'll get back to it. Antioxidants. This is a very popular, yet possibly misunderstood modality. Antioxidants are the most popular supplements on the planet. Now here are some of the popular fruits and their ORAC value. Only colored berries, spices, and legumes can be determined for the ORAC content. The ORAC is a test tube value and cannot be directly related to the body's antioxidation functioning. Okay, so here's some of the more popular MLM style antioxidant drinks. Now, here's the warning that distributors do not tell you about, and you know what? They probably don't know anything about it. That the ORAC comes from the original and the actual berry, not the juice drink. And any absorption from the juice or even the berry is not taken into account in findings like these. Okay, this is a test tube. So what exactly is an antioxidant? Antioxidant is the rusting process. So if you cut an apple, what happens to it? It starts rusting, it starts decaying, it starts aging. Now it is this rusting that wreaks havoc on our cellular DNA and being responsible for the ashes, the aches, the pains, the decay in our body. Okay, so sodas, oxygen, stress, toxins, drugs, oxidative foods are all hungry structures looking to find extra electrons to satisfy themselves. They cause damage to your body and create free radicals. Antioxidants have donor electrons and can prevent free radical damage. So remember, when your body hit positive 20 or positive 25 millivolts, your body begins to actively decay. So think when you're drinking Coke or Pepsi or Mountain Dew or bottled water, and this liquid begins robbing your body of electrons. Look at that, it's positive 400 for a lot of those things. The bottled water and distilled water at 200. Positive. Okay, you're going to go acidic very fast and start losing your energy. Energy drinks kill your energy. So think on this. Oxidative foods are hungry foods. I'm going to get your electrons. Antioxidant foods are like charity cases. Anyone hungry? I've got extras. So your body requires antioxidants to bring extra electrons into the body to release their donor electrons to satisfy the free radicals and therefore neutralize them. So Dr. Matsuo, it says it has been long established that reactive oxygen species, free radicals that contain the oxygen atom, cause many types of damage to biomolecules and cellular structures that in turn result in the development of a variety of pathological states such as diabetes, cancer, and aging. Antioxidants so now scientists now believe that free radicals are the natural cause, our causal factor in nearly every known disease, from heart disease to arthritis to cancer to cataracts. In fact, radicals are the major culprit in the aging process itself. The number of oxidative hits daily to your DNA per human cell is about 10,000. Now multiply that by the trillions of cells in your body. It's virtually impossible to get the optimal amount of antioxidants through the food alone. Dr. Lester Packer. Now, despite all of our attempts to bring in as much antioxidants as possible, unfortunately we would go on and on about antioxidants, but we're now going to have to move to alkalinity. Alkalinity is probably the most known modality. This is why most health-conscious vegetarians and vegans choose this lifestyle. So this is the pH scale. It starts from 1 to 14. The pH stands for potential of hydrogen. And if it is the hydrogen that wants to do the damage to our body. It makes us rust, it makes us age, it makes us grow sick. And the more hydrogen, the more acidic. So the pH grows logarithmically, meaning that each number is 10 times stronger from neutral 7. So 6 is 10 times more acidic than 7. 5 is 100 times more acidic. Just like 10 is going to be 1,000 times more alkaline than 7. Okay, now healthy blood is going to be 7.365 pH, and now that's if your blood has a very narrow range. Okay, and so some of the doctors will say, yes, our body has a natural regulatory thing. Yes, for the blood, because if the blood goes down any lower than 7.365, it starts. If it went to 7 pH, you're going to go comatose and die. Okay, you do not have much range. So to keep the blood at its natural 7.365 pH, okay, it's going to rob minerals, calcium, all kinds of things from your body to make sure that it'll neutralize any acids in the blood. So the winner of the 1931 Nobel Prize in Physiology, Dr. Otto Warburg, discovered the cause of cancer. In addition, he discovered the cure to cancer. Now, cancer grows in an oxygen-deprived acidic tissue. But what got him the Nobel Prize is that disease cannot live in an alkaline body. Dr. Theodore Baruti, he wrote a book, and you don't even need to read it because you just read the title, Alkalize or Die. Okay, he says, all diseases come from the same root cause, too much acidity. Dr. Robert Young, pH miracle, the pH miracle for weight loss and pH miracle for diabetes, he says that without enough water, your body goes acidic. Now, I don't know whether this goes under hydration or alkalinity, but the results are the same. You need water and you need to be alkaline. So 80% of our groceries, when we go out to Safeway or Albertsons or wherever groceries we go to, is going to be very acidic. Okay? All that acidic groceries, all the foods we eat, and that's not counting all the acidic food if we go out to eat, is going to create a thing called acidosis in our body. Now, acidosis is a result of your body being chronically acidic. These are just a few diseases produced by acidosis. There are over 150 diseases that acidosis is their root cause. So how does one become alkaline? Number one answer is diet. Many people with cancer and other diseases have done radical diet changes and eliminated their disease. So this means no sugars, no grains, no dairy, no meats. And most people will turn their back to such extreme diet changes. But there is another option that we'll talk about in a few minutes. So I hope you're beginning to see that each of these modalities are extremely important to our health, and that each of these modalities are interconnected in many ways. So what if there was a magic bullet for our health? Okay, what exactly would that look like? It would have to hydrate the body, it would have to bring real energy, it would have to be antioxidant, and it would have to bring alkalinity. What if I could tell you there is such a thing? Some Japanese scientists have been working on the device that replicates the properties of water in certain areas of the world, like the Wards of France grotto, the Hunza tribe in the Himalayas, the Narwia, Japan's most ancient magnetic mountain, where there's more centurions per capita than anywhere else in the world. So in 1965, this Japanese discovered what we now know as Kangen water, and they have been using them in their hospitals for almost 40 years now. So Kangen water, now these Kangen water units were giant machines that cost upwards of $400,000 back then. Almost 20 years ago, this Japanese machine created a kitchen-sized device to serve the Japanese people. And 10 years ago, the company began selling the machines outside of Japan, but only in Japanese to Japanese. And in the last 5 years, material has been put into English, and we are beginning to now see a revolution in alternative care right now. So if you want to get ready for this amazing things that video 3 is going to present, okay, we're going to see how water can replace laundry detergent, how to clean your oven with only water, what water your pets gravitate to, clean acne and skin issues with special water, remove the oil and pesticide from your fruit and vegetables, never need a band-aid again, and definitely how this water can be restructured, alkaline, antioxidant, and contain all kinds of energy that you will always need. And there's so much more. So we'll see you on video number 3.